Spicer.
Present.
Wiseman. Present. Wright.
Present.
You have a quorum.
All right, we've got a quorum. I'm going to deviate from the agenda just a second. I wanted to talk about two people. You'll notice to my left I have another individual sitting next to me, but first I want to talk about the predecessor that was sitting in this chair, Chief Schofield. And I can't thank you, the city can't thank you enough for stepping up when we really needed you. And I know where your heart is. It's wearing the uniform you're wearing, but you stepped up. The city, we hit the ground running, and it's been a privilege to work with you, and I thank you very much. Mr. Molman stepped into the seat until we could kind of transition, and I think it took him a couple times to convince you that was a good opportunity for you, but you did an amazing job, and the city thanks you, and I really appreciate it. And anytime I called, you said, whatever you need, sir, it's on board, so thank you.
I would just say I couldn't have done it without the support of all the staff and elected officials as well, and the community. Honored to do it. And consider it a privilege. Thank you.
Thanks. We're happy to have you back in your official role. I know you've got a lot of things going over there, and again, thanks to the fire department because they really stepped up and filled in the void. We didn't have any gaps, so thanks to all involved. Now the new individual sitting here, when I came in as mayor, we inherited a challenge to replace our former city administrator. Again, Mr. Molman stepped up to assist, and then Chief stepped in while we did a nationwide search. I think we have brought forth to the city an individual that's going to take this city to high levels. He's returning home. He's a graduate of Elias, graduate of our in-town university, Lincoln University, and just has a lot of connections to our city, and we're so excited to have him here, Brian Crane. So we're going to give Brian just a couple minutes to introduce himself. Hopefully everybody in town knows you, but just say a few words.
Yeah, well, thank you, Mayor and Council, for having the confidence in me to help lead this great organization. There's no bigger honor than working for your hometown, and the opportunities that I think we have are great. Thank you, Chief Schofield, for the transition and all the work you've done to make me feel at home and welcome, and as well as all the city staff. It's been a great opportunity for me to really help this city in any way I can, and I look forward to that opportunity.
Thanks. Well, again, welcome, and I compliment council. I mean, council was very cooperative in working. It was a unanimous vote, which is always exciting. You hope to bring a name forward, but I compliment council for your work in helping us through this transition. Also, the committee stepped up, budget process. Again, Chief recognized staff. When I would walk in the office, it was always, hey, Mayor, what can I do? How can we move this city forward? As I'm out and about, people compliment the work that you guys are doing. It's fun to hear the compliments, but I know it's because of the team that we have here. We're going to continue to build and strengthen that team, but I think we've got the right leader to do it, so welcome. With that, we will go to item 3, adoption of the agenda. I do believe there's one item that's in addition to the agenda. I think we have a new business item, Councilman Deacon.
I just wanted to just make a statement about this.
Okay, so we will accept that. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda as amended? Got a motion?
Second.
And a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, miscellaneous agenda items. Item 4A, Cemetery Resources Board. A tireless worker in our community, Rebecca Gordon. Rebecca, thanks for joining us. You would just identify yourself for our participants at home, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am Rebecca Gordon, and I'm the chair of your Cemetery Resources Board. Ladies and gentlemen of the council, we are very excited. Thank you for the opportunity of Councilman Schwartz for inviting us this evening. We are hosting a historic cemetery walking tour at Woodlawn Old City Cemetery. This is our 4th rodeo, but first time back after COVID. And it will be October 14th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It is open to the public and it is free. But the intention is, one, to share a little bit of founding Jefferson City history, as well as soliciting some donations at the event to offset the cost to the city and to the Resources Board for maintaining grave markers and the cemetery out there. So I want to personally invite everybody. I hope my volunteer got emails to all of you today with flyers. Please share the word. We know it's a busy time of year, as well as a busy weekend here in Central Missouri. So thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
Are there any questions or comments? I know former council member Schreiber was very passionate about our cemeteries, worked very closely with your group, so thanks for all you do.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Right. Item B is in regard to the air show update. Penny Smith. There you are. You're right back there. I didn't see you back there. Again, if you could just identify yourself for the folks at home, and the floor is yours.
Sure. Hi, I'm Penny Smith, Air Show Director for this year's first year of the Air Show. And I just want to say a few things here to let you know how it all went. I know I thanked you at the last council meeting, but I do want to thank you again and Chief Schofield for his team and the police department and all the things that they did for our air show. I'm just going to read this off because it was a little more than I could remember. So, obviously the show was a great success. We were very pleased with how it worked out. Had way more people than we thought we were going to show. In employing the standard 3-person per car count, it was estimated that we had approximately 8,000 to 10,000 visitors over the 2 days of the air show. I also want to note there were other events going on that were pretty major. The MU home game was that weekend. The Zenith had their open house. California's Ham and Turkey Fest was going on at the same time. I mean, there were several big events going on, and we still had that many people attend. So that was pretty cool. With this said, we did experience some issues relating to the underestimated crowd size. You know, things like we're definitely going to need more porta-johns. Vendors had to restock multiple times or completely ran out prematurely. It was really well attended. They were pleased. Traffic and parking were an issue, but I think we're going to have that worked out for next year, no problem. In an effort to handle next year's attendance, we're going to have to take into consideration that the Kansas City is not going to have their air show next year. And the reason why I say this is because on our website, while we did split site visitors between Columbia and Jeff City, 3,000 were from St. Louis after that number, and 2,500 for Kansas City. And then we also walked around and we talked to people there and asked where they were coming from. And a lot of them were from out of state and staying for the weekend to have 2 days of the show. So I thought that was very interesting. So with that said, let me get through here. Oh, also the Convention and Visitors Bureau provided information. The last count for their site visits, actual engagements to the air show information was 103,000, which I thought was pretty cool. But it is, I mean, it's something that people really enjoy and look forward to and go out of their way to attend. So pretty cool information. Keeping in mind that the air show is a 501c3 nonprofit and completely reliant on the generosity of sponsorships from Cole, Callaway, and Boone County business leaders and supporters, our goal is to increase the number of ground displays and aerial performances and demonstrations for the 2024 air show while keeping the show free or at very low cost to the public. We are looking forward to working with Jefferson City, Cole, Callaway, and Boone counties as we advance next year's show. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions or comments? Councilman Spencer.
Yeah, we attended Saturday's show, and you know the weather was questionable.
Right.
I mean, we didn't have the best of weather, but still, I mean, we had to park a long ways away, which is a great problem to have. But I think it's time for our council, and I know they're engaged with our airport as well, but it's time to make some some investment there for some enhanced parking and those kinds of things. So we look forward to the 2024 air show and having a conversation with our CDB director this morning. Our airport is an integral part of our tourism activity, with it being the 6th busiest airport in the state. So appreciate everything you did this year. It was a great inaugural event for our air show. So congratulations to you and your staff. If you have any, I'm not even sure if you did or not, but
We do. It takes a lot of people to put that air show on.
great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank
again,
you for coming out, Aaron, too. That was great for you to help with the veterans dinner.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, anytime you can grow for a veteran, that's a win in my book. But if we do it again, we'll have to ramp up. Maybe 5 grills.
Yeah, there were a lot of them.
again, thank you very much for all your work on it. I unfortunately had a family emergency, so I was out of town, but I'm continuing to watch Commissioner Fisher continues to post videos, so you got him really
Yes.
excited about it.
Yeah.
And my understanding was our police and fire did an amazing job out there, so thank you for your work and keeping people safe, keeping everybody safe, and
For sure.
let's go bigger and better in 24.
Right. I agree. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for being with us. All right, and then the item C, Fire Prevention Month and Bringing Home Safety Award for Kyle Cottrell.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll ask Division Chief of Fire Prevention, Jason Turner, to come to the podium, and I'll join him there shortly.
Jason.
Council, Mayor, thank you for allowing me to
Thanks for
be
being
in
here.
front of you and talk to you about fire prevention real quick. Fire prevention starts actually Sunday. We wanted to make sure we were in front of you to let the public know about what some of our efforts. But this year's theme is Cooking Safety Starts With You. Pay attention to your fire prevention. And with that comes some statistics that I put together for you. From 2014 to 2018, there was over 172,000 cooking-related fires in homes, with an average of 550 deaths and reaching nearly 4,800 injuries throughout that time and causing $1 billion in damage. Some people would guess that holidays does tend to rise during those types of situations and incidents, cooking fires. Of course, range tops and cooking tops involve 61% of the reported home fires, with 87% cooking fire deaths related to that, and injuries 78%. Electric ranges, as you can see, is one of the top items that causes cooking fires, and unattended fires leading the cause of cooking fires and casualties. And I just highlighted there in the red that more than half of the fatal injuries occurred when people tried to control the fire themselves instead of dialing 911, getting the fire department there. So here's just some examples of the statistics that the NFPA gathered during 2014 to 2018. Equipment unattended, 31%, and so on. Failure to clean, 8%. Unintentionally turned on was 8%. Starting next week, starting this week, we will start our visits to all the public and parochial schools, 14 of those to be exact. We've got scheduled with Lowe's on October 14th with their yearly event. And to give them a little plug that, Lowe's continues to provide support to the fire department with smoke detectors and CO2 detectors that they give to us to give to the community, those in need. We're excited to announce that over our 30-year involvement with the National Fire Safety Council program, this year raised right under $17,000 from our local supporters. Those funds will provide fire safety material that the fire department presents to children and the community itself throughout the year. The next thing I want to mention to you real quickly, and probably the most important thing that we're pretty excited about, was we were fortunate that we nominated Kyle Cottrell with the Home Safety Sprinkler Coalition back in the early winter. And Kyle was honored this year at the International Association of Fire Chiefs, FRI in Kansas City. He was selected as the recipient of the award, promoting the importance of home sprinklers and the use of the Home Fire Safety Coalition material, NFPA data, fire sprinkler initiatives and resources. For those of you who don't know, Kyle was instrumental back in 2016 when the 100th Habitat for Humanity home was built. He had the idea that we should sprinkler it. And since that 2016 100th build, the Habitat for Humanity has continued to sprinkler their homes that they build. And we're very proud of that. That's something you don't see in a lot of places, and that's one of the things that the Home Fire Safety Coalition was so impressed with, that the initiative that Kyle and the Habitat, and after Kyle had left Habitat into his new adventure, the transformation housing, he continued to bring that on. And the fire department is excited to recognize Kyle for his efforts, along with the Habitat and Transformation, that his hard work and promoting this and educating people is going to save lives in the future. We worked really hard when we adopted the 2015 code with sprinklers, and we got a buy-in from the Home Builders Association on multifamily, and we're excited that Kyle and them took it to the extra step of going on homes itself. So we want to recognize Kyle. There was a contribution for the Habitat for Humanity and for Transformation that will go in Kyle's honor, but Chief Schofield's here to present that to him, and his award from Home Fire Sprinkler Coalition.
So this award reads, in presentation to Kyle Kittrell, Director of Transformational Housing, in recognition of his tireless efforts to promote life-saving benefits of home fire sprinklers 2023. This is a national level award, so we're very fortunate to recognize Kyle. Most importantly, there's also a $500 check. So $500 will go to Transformational Housing, and the other $500 will go to Habitat for Humanity. Chief Turner and I will be presenting that tomorrow night at their event, their fundraising event tomorrow night.
And this will go into sprinklers. So
You want to say anything?
I just wanted to say, you said that I did this in 2016, but you've got to be proud of these guys, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have done this. We worked with the Habitat board. Jason was able to bring in people who were willing to donate some of the system for that. Matt's the one that educated me on how fast sprinkler systems help put fires out in residential areas. So it's been a team effort, and I thank them for that. Habitat for Humanity's done over 25 houses since 2016 here in Jefferson City, so you should be proud of that. And then our first apartment building, 203 Cherry Street, Transformational Housing. We have 5 rental apartments in that building, and they're all sprinkled. And we have 2 more buildings going on, and those will be sprinkled too. So.
Great. Chief, we haven't done a lot of pictures, but if you guys would like to present, council needs a little practice on blading, so we'll stay up here. And if you guys want to come down front, if we can get a volunteer staff member to take a picture. Council wants to gather around. Got a quick picture.
Oh, Eddie. I always caution you.
Yeah. This is a good one.
Not used to this.
Oh, no, you guys beat precedent.
Probably not near as good as Gellert is, but I'll try.
I'm sure.
There it is.
Let's go to wide angle. Panoramic.
Will this shirt make me look skinny?
Need a chair.
Make sure your face is.
Thank you. No, you send those to me. Yep. Mayor, thank you.
Away from the checks.
You did an exceptional job, Lee.
All right, I'm already taking the heat. Picture up. Kodak moment. All right. Takes us item 5, no public hearings. 6, no appointments by the mayor. Item 7, presentation from staff, consultants, and invited guests. And we have a very important invited guest with us. President of our local university, Lincoln University, Dr. John Mosley. Doctor, would you join us? And again, just reintroduce yourself for folks at home.
My name is John Mosley, and I serve as the 21st president of Lincoln University. I appreciate the opportunity to visit tonight. I appreciate the efficiency in which you arrived to this point of the agenda. It's homecoming week at OU, and so Saturday morning we get to take over High Street and Dunklin to celebrate Lincoln alumni from all over that'll be back in town this weekend. It's always a fun weekend for our students and a hectic weekend for our administration, and so we're looking for homecoming, and then we'll wave goodbye for their home going on Sunday. But it's a really neat week for us as we celebrate 157 years of Lincoln University. I want to update you on a couple of projects that we've got going on campus. We're really close. The board this week should be approving some contracts to begin demoing the interior of Dawson Hall, which is the tallest residence hall on our campus. That residence hall will be receiving a renovation over the course of the next 16 to 18 months. It's scheduled to be reopened in January of 2025. And so we'll be down about 325 beds during that time. In addition to that, the big one, and you all have been a major player in supporting us in this one, is the $40 million Health and Security Sciences Institute. We've hired both an architect and a construction manager at risk for that project. I had the chance on Friday to see the second revision of what that facility could look like, and I think that all of us are going to be very proud. We really challenged them after the first edition to really go back to the table and come up with a transformation. We don't simply want a new building. We want something that when you get off of Highway 50, you realize you're at Lincoln University. And so that building will house both our nursing school as well as an emergency operating training center that we're hoping will be operational in the event of simultaneous events, or if there was an event that knocked out SEMA. And so we anticipate that agencies throughout the Midwest will be coming here to Jefferson City to train in that location. In addition to that, it's just the normal school stuff. Enrollment is very close to where we were last year. We're waiting on the final census numbers to come in, which almost could be any day. I am confident that undergraduate enrollment is up for the second year. Now we've got some work to do in graduate school to really grow those numbers. And then dual credit, the number of high school students that take classes at Lincoln for college credit, that's a big one for us. We appreciate being in Jefferson City. I believe, as I always say, and I'll say every time, because I know all of you have heard me say this, but somebody may be watching tonight that hasn't. The better Lincoln University means a better Jefferson City. And so we're fortunate. I don't care where you went to school. I don't care who else you support. We believe that you can support Mizzou and still be true blue. Maybe your school isn't Mizzou, maybe it's somebody else, but we take pride in being the capital city's university. And so I hope you all realize that this is certainly a relationship with you all, and we appreciate it. And I am happy at the mayor's request to come down at any point to visit with any of you individually or collectively to talk about what we've got going on. We are launching an EMT program. That program should be online by January. We just got all the certificates approved last week. So we're hoping we can get some certificate programs going like that to help put people in positions to have some of the positions that you need to fill here in the city as well. Happy to answer any questions, more so than continue to talk, because I was given a strict time limit by an individual and I will not go over.
Questions or comments? We understand.
Yes. Hearing none, I'm going to run for that door right now, okay? But no, thank you all. Thanks for the work that you do on behalf of our state. Our city. I get to travel quite a bit, really more than I really want to. I love going to big cities, but there's nothing like laying your head down in Jefferson City. So thanks for the work that you do to keep us safe.
Thanks for being here.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
All right, right, that takes us to item B, yard waste update. Mr. Smith.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is, since this yard waste contract's kind of a pending issue, wanted to give a quick update. As everyone knows, I think the current contract will expire October 31st of this year. We have discussed in the past, but as of today, staff doesn't have a contract to present to council. The October 16th would be the next meeting, so whichever way it goes there, we'll be kind of providing either possibility. If there is not a contract, we'll provide some information on, I think, the safe and legal way for residents to address their yard waste needs. And one of those things, just to point out while we're talking about the subject, is it's always a good idea, if you have the capability to actually mow your leaves and mulch them in place. It's a good fertilizer for the yard. But hopefully we'll have an update again on October 16th for council to consider. Thank you. I'm going to answer my question.
Council, Councilman Mealy, and then Councilman Allers.
Thanks, Mayor. Is there a good way to publicize the end of this contract period so folks know that if they want to clean their yards to as best they can, with it being October 31st, that we let residents know? I know I was at Porch Fest yesterday, and somebody I've known for years, they weren't certain on that date. Forest Hill is a large trees and a lot of yard waste over there. So can we put that on social media and encourage folks to get that done, or is that kind of counter to the contract?
I think we can promote that. I don't know, Mr. Crane or Mr. Smith.
It might be a good idea to wait a little bit longer until maybe the next agenda for council's out, so we kind of are certain on what the direction will be. But I think that is part of the conversations we're having now, is how to get that information most efficiently and quickly out to the general public as soon as we know for certain whether there'll be.
I would just like residents to have a heads up that this is potentially temporarily ending, and if you want to work on it now, it'd be the best time.
Councilman Allers.
I know fellow councilmen and all that, and I apologize for not being at the last meeting. I unfortunately couldn't log in from where I was at overseas and all that, and I just wanted to bring up for discussion that we've all received a lot of emails concerning the compost and what's going to be the plan B if this doesn't go through. And after a lot of thought and all that, I would suggest that if that didn't work out with Mr. Cordy just because of the hours operation and the construction going on there, why we couldn't accept the second bid as being the best bid for the citizens. It keeps us, for right now, the same service at maybe, due for inflationary costs and all that, is why his bid was a little bit higher. But it keeps the same service going on for a lot of the older citizens, especially I can just speak for the ones in the first ward that have people come in and, clean up their yards for them. It gives them a continuity to keep doing it, and then until we come up with a new RFP for next year, because this is a yearly process. It's not a 5-year guarantee. It's a 1-year contract with the option to renew for 4 more years. And so I think everybody's read all the emails that they liked where it was at. They liked the service of being there. Some things I've talked to Mr. Shepperly about is, does he charge for, or can he sell the mulch and the compost, or how he does that as another avenue of, making money. What do we do for the people that have yard mowing businesses where, a lot of them just do it probably with the idea they go dump it out there anyway, that none of them have the land to do it. I'm not sure or aware if we have a plan B on the table to just, where do we do this after the end of October? So I would like just to open up for discussion and maybe hear comments, or if anyone has any that, I think this would be a good service to keep going on, with the option of then after the beginning of the year, the RFP, we hopefully score it and come up with it at a quicker thing so we know what's going to happen by October 31st. And if there's something that goes wrong, here's the plan B for whatever that happens.
Do you have any comments, Mr. Smith? I assume that's part of what you're going to do.
Yeah, we'll be looking into that. I mean, as far as the existing RFPs go, I don't think we've officially stated that they're, we're not moving forward with any of the RFPs, but I think, we can assume that at this point.
Not looking at the RFP or seeing a copy of it on this last one, I mean, did we spell out specifically the hours of operation we'd like to have it, the days open we'd like to have it? Or was that kind of, and I'm just asking this on general, is that kind of just, was it given up to each Mr. Alford, Mr. Shepperly, and Mr. Cordy on what they deemed was necessary to, have their hours of operation open?
Going off memory, I think the existing hours were in the RFP, but I think we explicitly stated we would entertain different hours and different days, specifically less hours and less days, to open up the availability to look at some different price points for the contract.
It just seems that, when we had the discussion, heard from Mr. Cordy, he wasn't going to be open on the weekend and all that, which is fine. I have nothing but,
Sunday hours.
Yeah, Sunday hours is that, yeah, I'm sorry. The Sunday hours is that there's, like we discussed about, there's a lot of people who do this on the weekends. And, with the amount of stuff they do with their kids during the week and all the other stuff and what they have with work and all this, Saturday and Sundays were the best time for them to do this. So, and Mr. Cordy with his, and he explained to us his religion, he was not going to work on Sunday and all that. I have no problem. That's fine. I respect him immensely for, doing that and have great respect for him. But I think for as citizens as a whole, a lot of them reached out to say that this is a service we want to keep using and keep doing. And they all are very familiar with the location. And they kind of know that, hey, I know he's good. Mr. Shepperly's going to be open, bing, bang, boom, I get in, get out. And it's something they want to keep doing with the tax dollars they send to the city.
So just to kind of address that, I think the hours of operation and some of those other particulars from the existing RFP, I think we've got enough feedback to say that we would probably reevaluate some of those terms in that RFP, perhaps get some feedback from the general public or for interested parties before we put that back out. So there's something we can kind of look at before, if and when we go to another RFP.
Do we have I'm sorry, Scott, Mr. Spencer. Do we have a site already in plan for at the end of the month? Have we come up with our alternative?
No, there is no alternative plan at this point.
So it just makes sense to me that we renew for a year Mr. Shepperly's contract and then do the RFP and see who all we get. We may have someone interested else besides Mr. Alford and Mr. Shepperly. They may come about and say, hey, I've got some land here. They may decide to do that. So, I think that would be an alternative or the best solution for this right now until we find a plan B. I'll defer to Mr. Spencer.
Councilman Spencer.
Well,
Councilman Schwartz.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, with our last year's budget, we heard from the public that this is a service that they would like to keep continue. And, but the city was charged with trying to open up that process and even essentially find a lower cost, which staff succeeded in. And I appreciate staff's efforts. Sometimes they get probably a little more pressure and blame than you should have, because you followed up with what you were charged with, and I thank you for that. I think if we do open up that RFP process, having some citizen input and involvement would be probably help you all to bring a better product presented to the council. So, but again, thank you for what staff did in the last process, and so thank you.
Councilman Schwartz.
Yeah, in response to Councilman Eilers, I think Mr. Shepperly was given an opportunity to continue the contract for a year. We presented him with terms as such, and he declined them. I think when you're offered a contract extension, but you want to modify the contract, you become less of an extension of a contract and more of a new contract, and that's not what we were offering. That offer was set about through the RFP process that I think worked. Unfortunately, the bid that they came out with was rejected by our constituents, which is good government. So I think Mr. Shepperly was afforded the opportunity. Now, there could be a discussion if you want on how much of a raise was offered. Maybe it wasn't enough, I don't know, but it was what I felt like a negotiation. The insinuation that we want him to do it for nothing, I think is a little bit ludicrous, because it's well over $17,000 a month of taxpayer money that we're offering Mr. Shepperly to do this. So when you offer an extension to a contract, you're not allowed to just go ahead and essentially rebid it as a no-bid contract. And I think that's what Mr. Shepperly wants to do. I would be in favor of a rebid of that contract, stipulations outlined as such about when to be open, what the exact price the city will pay, and see if we get any responses. I also believe that citizens are used to our personal waste being picked up on whatever day we get it picked up, and we pay for that. Yard waste is no different than food waste or trash. It's our personal trash, whether it's grass or a newspaper. And I think people should come to realize that if we're going to continue to see 20 and 30% increases in the price of doing business, that this is going to have to become a fee-based process. And so I would be in favor of instituting an RFP process that is fee-based and has a smaller supplement of city taxpayer funds than what we currently spend. Thank you.
Councilman Allers, then Councilman Mealy.
So, look, I don't like the idea of renegotiating of in between, because I don't think it's fair to Mr. Alford out there if we sit there and renegotiate a different contract with one person. It kind of looks like what I just look at is kind of almost looks like a little bias, which I know that it's not. So I would would like to see it if we accept the next lowest bid, it takes any kind of negotiation going on, because looking down the road, I would like to see Republic get a little bit more involved with this as maybe an option, and getting along to Mr. Councilman Schwartz's idea as a fee for that somewhere down the line for that service. But this, my point with this is it gives us that time to look for alternatives in a year to come up with it. Maybe we increase burning by a month, maybe either side. That would help, because right now we're getting into the leaves are already starting to drop. So maybe that's something we can, and I believe that was brought up with public safety at the meeting Thursday to maybe look at it. I'm not sure. I'd have to defer to Councilman Spencer on that. But and I know that the fire department probably doesn't like to hear the word to have extra a month of burning or something like that, but that may be a part of a solution too, to go along with it, how we maybe look at the whole issue of yard waste and come up with a really good proposal that says fee, maybe burning a month earlier or something along that line to help a lot of people who just cannot get there to dump their yard waste. So but I would like to see that, while we do that, just go ahead and approve the second contract, and then that gives us time to hopefully come up with a really good proposal toward the end of the budget year next year.
Councilman Mealy.
Thank you. So when I vote on something, I look for, spending taxpayer dollars, I look for a return on investment. I think this is one of the better returns on investment in Jefferson City, because if you go to a fee for service type setup, you still have people dumping down and messing up your wastewater. You still have people burning and potentially newbies burning, which is maybe a little bit different than somebody who's burned their leaves for 10 years and knows what they're doing. And then you also have folks who try to stick this stuff in their blue bin and it gets in our landfill, and we already know our landfill is filling up much faster than we would like for it to be. So I am looking forward to a new RFP, and hopefully we get that citizen input and see where it goes.
All right, any other comments?
I'd like to offer a motion to accept the second bid of All Seasons landscaping for the year 23, 24. I'm not sure if that's the correct way of putting it. For whatever the bid was that he. All Seasons or all Seasons. If I misspoke, All Seasons? Yeah, All Seasons.
Well, we've got a motion on the table. Don't hear a second. Councilman Schwartz.
If we would do that, which appears we're not, that 5-year ladder is built into that contract, right? Not into the bid. So we can't just say we're gonna do it for 1 year. I mean, if we accept the bid, we accept the 5-year ladder.
So the provision is in there that I think the continuation of that after year 1 is subject to council appropriating funds for it. So I could be wrong, but I think that means after year 1, if council did not extend it, that would be it. And I do believe the current contract language that we drew up still contains the 120-day cancellation clause that the city can cancel it for any reason, 120 days notice.
And what was the price difference between, because we got a budget that my partner from the 5th says we're doing in 2 weeks. What was the difference?
So the difference in which bid? The difference in the low bid or the second lowest bid, which was from last season?
40 bid versus what, was the second?
The second one was All Seasons, correct. So the low bid was for $195,600, so $195,600 for year 1. And the second lowest bid was for $240,000 per year for year 1. And each one did go up an increment.
Had a $40,000, $45,000 deficit to the budget. Written.
Councilman Mealy, then Councilman Spencer.
Did we, it was my understanding that Chris was not so interested in working with the city anymore. Has that changed in the last week?
I can't speak to, I think, Mr. Shepard's position at this moment.
So I guess I'm confused by the motion. If we would motion to give Chris Shepard $240,000, if he would be interested in the business, following the steps.
Well, the motion died for lack of a second, so it's not on the table at this time. So it's just a general conversation on guidance for Mr. Smith, how we move forward. Councilman Spencer, you have a comment?
Yeah, just real quick. And I appreciate Councilman Allers. I appreciate your passion on this issue. And there may be some alternatives that haven't been pushed forward just yet. So I don't want you to get a read of the council that we're not interested in addressing this issue in any way. But there are some other options that are being talked about and looked into. So
Not a huge comment.
Set. Mr. Smith, you're all set?
I'm set. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna move forward to item 8. Now, Mayor, Council, and staff, I do not have any additional council committees, administration committee.
Admin will be Wednesday at 7:30. For those of you that can't make it, make sure you appear by video.
she's looking at you.
All right, finance committee, right back at you.
Thank you very much. Our next scheduled meeting will occur on October 19th. That's the Thursday of our next
Council meeting at 7:30 a.m.
All right, public safety.
Next meeting is October 26th, 7:30, police training room.
And Public Works and Planning, Councilman Spencer.
Our next meeting will be October 12th at 7:30 here in the chambers. Council chambers.
Any other announcements? All right, takes us to presentations from the gallery, not aware of any. Consent agenda, item number 10.
I move to approve.
Okay, motion to approve, and I think I heard a second. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, item 11, bills introduced 2023-046.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, changing, amending, and modifying the zoning map of the zoning code of the City of Jefferson by rezoning 0.45 acres of land addressed as 211 Commerce Drive from N2 General Industrial to C2 General Commercial.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is a second reading for a bill that would rezone property from M2, which is general industrial, to C2, which is general commercial. This property is located at 211 Commerce Drive along Highway 179. It's actually kind of south of Industrial Drive, south of the Gerbs there, to kind of give you an idea of the location. It was presented to Planning and Zoning Commission. Right now, the bill will be introduced today. We will have a public hearing on the October 16th meeting of council to consider approval of that as well. So this is kind of an aerial shot to kind of orientate yourself for the property. As you can see, they're going from generally from the purple, which is the M2 zoning, and they're going to rezone to C2, which is the general commercial, directly adjacent to the north. So as you can kind of see, this is a bit of a transition area where we have industrial uses and commercial uses. So really the proposal here would be was for the applicant. He was looking to rezone this to commercial to allow a drive-through dry cleaning business in the location that you see on the map there is the yellow location. It's a little bit of a tighter shot. You can see the existing building here. They'll be doing some renovations to allow that drive-through to the site. The property to the south, which shows shares a driveway with currently is like a contractor shop, so we don't see any compatibility issues with those two uses, even though the zoning would be different, C2 on the north and M2 on the south. Generally, it's an area that is kind of contains a lot of these uses, so rezoning this to C2 we think is appropriate in this location. Planning and Zoning did vote on this, and it was a unanimous vote of 8-0 for approval. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions or comments? All right, great job, thanks. Takes us to 2023-047.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, amending the Personnel Policy Manual, Article 12, Vacation Leave, Section 12-1, and Section 12-2, and Article 13, Sick Leave, Section 13-1.
Chief, I believe you're going to talk to us about this?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an initiative that actually started in our budget discussions for the FY24 budget, and we included it in the mayor's recommended category for the budget presentation to council. And what it is essentially entails is an increase in vacation accrual and vacation cap, and an increase in sick leave accrual. And it was modeled after the changes that were recently approved by council for the firefighters' collective bargaining agreement in terms of ratio. I think it's pretty clear to most that, you know, the 24-hour shifts that firefighters work is a different shift schedule, but what we did was we tried to match the ratio of a 40-hour work week and a 56-hour work week, and to make those numbers align, so that what we're essentially proposing is that in these three categories, vacation accrual, vacation cap, and sick leave accrual, that those match that same ratio for the rest of the city employees. And part of the reason this was important in our budget discussions was because we know that every one of our class and compensation studies has identified this as a weakness within the city's benefit package, something that we do not keep pace with our competitors. We also know that our largest competitor, the state of Missouri, has very similar numbers. It turns out almost exactly the same in some of these categories. And we felt that it was something that could be managed at a fairly low cost, minimal cost within our current budget. So we circulated this concept to the department directors and asked if they felt like they could manage it within their existing budgets, and they've all committed to doing that. So while there may be a little bit of variance back and forth year to year, we feel like it's something that can be managed within the approved budget that this committee worked so hard to bring to fruition, hopefully at our next budget, our next council meeting. So happy to answer any questions.
Councilman Hensley.
Yes, thank you. Quick question. For covered firefighter personnel, when they leave city employment, what's the percentage of their accrued sick leave that they get to walk with?
Yes, and so when we said that it matches it almost entirely, I'll say 3 of the 4 categories, that's the one category it doesn't match. So in the conversations we had with the finance director and amongst department directors and even with the mayor, this was broken out into 2 different pink sheets. One, which is the 3 of the 4 categories we're presenting tonight as a cost, for the most part, cost neutral. But the higher cap payout, to answer your question, was at 50% at its highest amount in the firefighter's contract. We did not feel like we could recommend that to council as a cost neutral benefit. So that is not included in these changes for the rest of the city employees.
What's the percentage for other city employees?
It depends on how many years of service you have. I think it's up to year 20 is when it maxed out at 20% for other city employees. So it is a substantial difference. You go from a 20-year employee getting 20% of their accrued sick leave cap versus 50%.
And the fire department only reaches that 50% upon reaching 20 years of service. So it's the progression up to 20 years is the same as other city employees, but once a firefighter hits 20 years, then that bumps up to 50.
So for other city employees under this, they would begin accruing more hours, so 20% of more hours should be more money. But we're not changing those caps.
That's correct. And there is a cost estimate to that too, and I was trying to pull it up in the budget document here, and I can find it for our next meeting. Happy to send it out to council. But that dollar amount was more substantial than what we felt like we could include in our recommended budget, knowing how tight the budget was in FY24. If I could also offer, that does remind me of one other point that I think is really important that was addressed in the firefighters CBA and also was addressed in this corresponding document, and that is there was a gap between vacation accrual between 15 and 24 years. And so in both the current and proposed, there's an increase every 5 years. But there was this strange anomaly of a gap between 15 to 24 where you missed a 5-year bump. No one can really explain when that started or why, what the rationale was, but it was addressed and fixed in the firefighters CBA and is also correspondingly addressed in this proposal before you.
Councilman Spencer.
Yeah, that was an anomaly that I, as a former employee, could never understand either. So I'm glad that that's been rectified for all city employees, but mainly also with the recommendations that the Office of Peters salary study benefit package summary. That was one of those that they wanted to highlight. And I think, when we pay for studies, we really ought to look hard at trying to implement their recommendations. And I'm really glad that at least we're trying to at least check this one off the list to at least be more competitive for all employees. So I definitely support it. Thank you.
Councilman Mailer.
Do these new accruals begin November 1?
They would, yes, if approved by council. That's part of the reason we wanted to present it tonight for first reading so that it could potentially be voted on at the next meeting along with the budget.
Thanks.
All right, seeing no other comments, go to bills pending 2023-045.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri authorizing a contract and supplemental appropriation amending the FY 2023 budget by transferring funds within the general fund.
Councilman Hours.
I want to, stated before, I want to move this to the informal calendar. We have some other things we'd like to look at for this proposal and come up with a maybe a little bit better plan and all that. So I'd like to put this on the informal calendar.
All right. Going to the informal calendar, item 13A, 2023-40.
Mayor, I request that this item stay on the informal calendar until October 16th.
All right. Takes us to item 14, no resolutions. Item 15, presentation from the gallery on other topics. We have 3 individuals signed up, so Mr. Clow, again, identify yourself and welcome.
Fine, thank you. My name is Mel Kellell. I think I've been over here before. I'll try to hold it down tonight. I have to tell you that I looked down 3 minutes and we were expecting 5 minutes, but you had a particularly productive discussion about some of these topics before we ever got to the topic that most of us are here for. I would like 5 minutes, and I would actually like 10.
I think this section of the agenda is 3 minutes, so we'll let you go.
Well, I want to be an objection to that. I think you've changed the rules in the middle of the game. I don't agree with it, but having said that, first of all, I'm going to talk really quick. I want to thank the chief for giving me 2 hours the other day. I want to thank one of his units from the east side that came over and checked my carbon monoxide. We were concerned whether or not we had a problem because my wife was having breathing, so they did a great job. Regarding the discussion, what else am I missing here? First of all, there's an old thing, and some of the older people here, you don't know about this. If it's not broken, you don't fix it. Now, our present way of doing yard waste is not broken. It's just we're going to decide, or we need to decide, how we're going to pay for it. Now, there's something floating around the city I think is clouding your minds. It's called inflation. It's the worst problem this nation has today. And it's affecting all of us, it's affecting our employees, and it's affecting all the employees of the contractors that are bidding on this. And if you don't think that's serious, then you've got your head in the stand. You don't understand business. You don't understand the money that's being spent for people like our present contractor and anybody else who wants to do this. The numbers that I keep hearing bandied around are just totally out of line. And we don't have a money person on the council. We used to have one, I believe. I don't think there's any deep money thinkers on this counter. And we need one. Because this inflation is killing us. And there's not a darn thing we can do about it. Now, with that being said, you've been great. Where am I at? 2 minutes? 20 seconds. Okay, well, let me pull out the parting shot. Okay. One of my pet peeves, Chief. You know what that means? It is the worst city I've driven in. I don't care what the visitors say. Failure to signal should be at least a $10 fine. Not only that, that's enough. You put that together with the numbers, there's no numbers fee here. You do that and you put units on the street that are already there. If they write 4 citations a day, and that's easy work, 4 citations at night. You do that for 265 days a year. You know what that does to the city's budget? Who's got the answer? Nobody. Almost over $250,000. $250,000. And we're talking about people that are out here laboring, putting up with inflation. And this is a gold mine. I don't care about our reputation. They're going to come to Jefferson City. It's clean. It's taken care of. Parks and Rec takes care of the beautification of downtown and other things. And we're trying to chisel somebody out of $200,000, which it sounds like a lot of money. To me, it is.
I appreciate your comments. We're going to go ahead and end there. This will be back on the agenda, as you heard, so there'll be another open session for speakers. We thank you for coming in. Next speaker we had signed up, Mr. Alford.
Yes, sir.
Again, if you just identify yourself for folks that are watching, and thanks for being here.
You want Mr. Alford or Lee? I'm Lee Alford with Alpha Tree Service. I was a high bid on the yard waste contract because I was trying to buy $1 million property. And if you know anything about property in Jeff City, it's insane. My property payment was gonna be almost $17,000 a month. I can't just pull that out of thin air. But anyway, the reason I'm standing here tonight is an alternative to having it bid. Just have the private citizens do it, somebody like me. I've still got 2 lots. It would be on a fee base, but it'd be a nominal fee. And I think it's something that I can possibly get set up by the 1st of November. It's just an alternative idea. I don't know how you feel about it. It's less burden on the taxpayer, I guess. I'm going through the numbers right now, and I'll probably throw it out on social media tomorrow to see if that noodle will stick to the refrigerator or if it's just going to be a complete flop. I don't know yet. You know, people like free stuff. It's hard to get them away from free stuff. So I'm trying. I don't know if you want to. I still got to come up with something for yard waste. I believe in it. I think I can make it work, but I just don't know standing right here, right now. And that's why I'm here. So the one site's still on East McCarty and the other one's going to be on Stadium. Now, I don't know, the one on Stadium isn't 100% yet, but I think I got it nailed down, and it's convenient. It's super convenient for the citizens. I mean, just I think about everybody. If I could come up with third side, I'd come up with third side. But anyway, that's my 3 minutes or 2 minutes. If anybody's got any questions, please ask. Go ahead.
Or on East McCarty, or yeah, East McCarty.
It's the old Diamond Implement Place.
Are they putting a bunch of fill back there?
Yes, we're getting it up out of the floodplain.
Oh, I didn't know who was doing all that back there.
Yeah.
I thought at one time was they adding on to their units back there is what I kind of.
Well, it's if this doesn't go through, you know, the people that own that property, they're gonna do something with the property. Now, if I can put a yard waste site in there, they're gonna hold off on the storage units. So I've got first dibs on it right now, and part of our deal was to get it up out of the floodplain regardless, because I think that was part of the zoning deal for the storage units. But they like my idea better because they don't want to have to mess with storage units. So, I mean, that one, I can make that one ready in no time. The one on Stadium, like I said, it isn't 100% yet because I'm going through many loops on it. There is a city easement there that I guess it's 100-foot wide and 300-foot long, goes up into that area. But as far as the people that own the property, I gotta promise a lot of stuff to them. But I know we can get one side at least, and it would be just literally almost zero cost to the city. So just an idea. I still want to do it. I still want to be part of the community. Anybody else got a question or ideas? Yes, sir.
My only concern on the East McCarty side is how much equipment, noise. You wouldn't have a tub grind, no grinder there. The reason I say that is because when Dubert wanted to expand Midwest Block, I mean, there was so much vitriol about an indoor operation. I mean, people they got livid, and that's in the backyard there, and I was just.
If I did, it would probably be one day every 2 or 3 weeks, depending on the amount of volume coming in. And it would only be during business hours. It wouldn't be on a Saturday or Sunday or something like that. And unless we had special circumstances or something, like if we had a early ice storm or something. And then it would still, I would prefer not to have it in there myself, to be honest with you. It would be a site where we would move from that site to the west site. But again, all this is all theoretical at this point. I need to see if it's going to be a good idea for the community, or it may not be. Like, you know, like I said, it's hard to get people away from free stuff. So I kind of mentioned it before this bidding even started back in April that, you know, if I didn't go the way that everybody thought it was gonna go, I was gonna try and open it up regardless, so. But if I'm gonna open it up, there's no sense in me opening up if they're gonna put it out for bid anyway. That's kind of my thought on it, you know, why am I gonna invest a lot of money in a site that's nobody's gonna use unless it's commercial? And I don't know, like I said, I don't know if I can make it work or not. So according to the volume that's coming in, it's possible, but I don't know if each individual is gonna pay $5 a bag for leaves or $20 for a pickup truck of limbs. I don't know. I just do not know. So that might be something I'll come to the next meeting with, some more information and see what happens.
I assume probably had to at least communicate with you, Mr. Smith. Is that a course of action that would be productive if you would just kind of share?
Right, yeah, and I've talked to him, so.
We've talked about volume already, so we'll get him some information on what that expectation is.
I'll try and get back with him on it, so. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for being here. All right, last one we had signed up was Mr. Bode. Again, you just identify yourself for those at home, and thanks for being here.
Don Bowles, private citizen, been adding some notes and now I can't hardly read them. First of all, I will still think, across the river, if that's still an option, if no other place is feasible. I think the city needs to provide it. It's used by all property owning residents, probably in some capacity. And yes, if not, many residents will dump their leaves out of town or burn them in the streets if there's no other place to burn. Please provide the service to residents free. And on a personal note, I have lots of trees in my yard. I have tons of leaves. I often have pickup loads, often, if not daily. I have no place to burn without being close to trees. But if I have to, I will, albeit reluctantly, burn them near the trees or on an alternative. 1 minute.
Thanks for being here. All right, that's all we had signed up. That takes us to item 16, council and staff discussion. New business, I believe, Councilman Deacon, you had a item that you want to discuss real quick?
Yeah, I was just really caught by surprise there wasn't more outcry about tearing down the most recognizable landmark of Jefferson City. I mean, it's probably been in more photographs than the President Capitol, from the very earliest photographs. Even on that painting back there it is. That is the one thing you recognize coming into town. I'm just shocked that probably one of the most famous landmarks in town, just so easily, they voted, the historic people say, yeah, go ahead and tear it down, but they'll go 700 times a mile, 7 miles a minute, about saving the old buildings on Capitol Avenue when 70% of the people wouldn't even tell you which building is which, but I'll bet you 80% of the people and probably 100% of the kids can tell you about that tower. I mean, it's that and the top of the round down there. The kids have always recognized it. I was really taken back that the historic people had voted for it. I thought it hadn't even gone through their process yet. I thought I would have had a nice little ditty for it. I mean, my gosh, we come to the Thief of the Night, we tore down the Sheriff's Building, that was okay. Thief of the Night, tore down the hall over there, Memorial Hall over at Lincoln. Yeah, secretly. And now we're gonna go just right out in front, we're gonna tear down the one landmark that is it's older than the Capitol. We burned the Capitol a few times. Oh well. I guess we just tear down our old trees and tear down our old buildings because we just don't like old stuff. But my grandkids still like old stuff, so. I'm done. I'm gonna, for a few times, Jeff, I'm gonna lost the words. Help me.
Councilman Allers.
I promised I would try not to talk tonight, but so I've got a binder for, so coming back from the trip over in Italy where we were at, they keep, and over in Germany, they keep a lot of the old stuff there. They don't redo the churches over there. They have, you know, mosaic tile pieces that they did thousands of years ago. You know, for us Catholics who go to confession and all that, their confessionals are out in public where you can, I guess you'd walk up next to them there. That's the way they were built. They left it there in the church like there's no really privacy of the whole thing. And I found it amazing that of a lot of stuff is still left as it was in that way. And, you know, I love history. Looking at the old pictures of St. Peter's and all that, that tower was there. When you first mentioned that found out that they were going to take that tower down, I was like, holy cow, that's an icon of Jeff City to some extent, but I'm not sure. You know, I know Council Mealy mentioned something about what they had planned for that site, but I'm sure there was a hopefully great discussion on alternatives. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's an iconic thing for Jeff City. Just hate to see it go. I don't know if there's a resolution.
Well, I will say, Missouri American was very upfront. I think when they met with us, I mean, they've had their intentions out there for a while. Now, why people didn't respond to it, but it's not as if they brought it up at the last minute. They've gone through the appropriate channels. They have met with individuals. People aren't happy with that. I mean, I'm not sure what the next recourse is, but they were very upfront in saying this is in our plans and this is why we're doing it. Councilman Mealy?
Thank you, Mayor. So you can go, obviously, we know this, but I feel like I need to say it. You can go online and see how people voted for this. So it wasn't unanimous. I had kind of a procedural question for you, Mr. Molman. Can you explain to us if a citizen commission is to vote a certain way to approve a demolition permit, does this body have authority to do anything after that's occurred?
For the Historic Preservation Commission, there is an appeal, but I would have to take a look. I think the appeal might be only available if the Historic Preservation denies permission to engage in a demolition. I'm not sure if there's a recourse if they approve it. I'm not sure who the appealing party would be.
Yeah.
So I'd have to dig in a little bit.
Yeah. It would be interesting to know because, I mean, I share with Councilman Deacon some sentiment that, you know, in one hand you understand the needs, and the other hand you hate to see another loss of a historical structure.
All right. I think that was our only new business item. We do have item number 18, approval of the September 18, 2023 closed session minutes. I've got a motion and a second. All in favor? I guess we need to do a roll call on that. I'm sorry.
Allers? Deacon? Hensley? Lester? Neely? Schwartz? Spencer? Spicer? Wiseman? Wright? Motion passes.
All right, we have no unfinished business. Councilwoman Wiseman.
I move to adjourn.
Thank you very much.